My pineapple coconut cake with cake mix and cream cheese frosting is easy and delicious. Crushed pineapple and shredded coconut are very common ingredients in Southern layer cakes, and in this one, those two take center stage. What's so great about this cake is that the two main flavors are perfectly balanced, and in addition to the delicious cake itself and the amazing cream cheese frosting, I'm also going to make a homemade pineapple filling for this cake that's going to take this to a whole other level. Here in this bowl, I have one 15.25 ounce box of white cake mix and one 3-ounce box of orange gelatin. I know that may seem kind of odd, but I add orange gelatin to my carrot cake, which has crushed pineapple. Same with my hummingbird cake. And I also added orange gelatin to my pineapple upside down cake. It was a great addition, and it's also going to help to give that cake an orange color that I think is going to be really pretty. I'm also going to add some crushed pineapple. Here I have 1 cup or 240 grams. I just took it right out of the can. Here I have some shredded coconut. I debated how much to use. I am going to use 2/3 of a cup or 80 grams, but I think you could use anywhere between half a cup and 1 cup. 3 eggs over there, a 1/4 cup of sour cream. I usually use fat-free, but it disappeared, so I'm using regular sour cream. Like I said, a 1/4 cup, 60 grams. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. I highly recommend coconut extract, but if all you have is vanilla, that's fine. And 1/4 cup of canola oil. Like I said, this pineapple coconut cake is really easy. So all I have to do is dump everything into the bowl. I am using canned crushed pineapple because it's easy. It's the classic ingredient. If you want to use fresh in this cake, I guess you could, but sometimes pineapple is kind of hard, and I think it would be difficult to recreate this texture. In goes the crushed pineapple. Smells amazing already. The coconut, 2/3 of a cup. The eggs, I am actually, I'll use one of the beaters I'm going to use. I'm going to beat them real quickly to get them started. If you have pineapple gelatin, I'm sure you could use that as well. That would be awesome, but I do not see that at my grocery store, so I'm assuming you probably don't have it at yours, but orange gelatin is fairly common, so that's another reason why I'm using it. I think it's something that you'll be able to find pretty easily. In goes the sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, 1/4 cup of buttermilk, 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. Here I have 1 teaspoon of coconut extract and the 1/4 cup of canola oil. Now that all the ingredients are in this bowl, I am going to beat on medium speed for maybe 1 to 2 minutes until everything is combined. I just finished making the batter. As you can see, it's a very nice light orange color. Here I have my 8-inch cake pans prepared, buttered and floured, so I'm just going to pour in the batter. My pineapple coconut cake layers are now out of the oven. They were in at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, uncovered, for 45 minutes. 4-5. Although I normally put a cream cheese frosting around the outside and between the layers of my cakes, this time I'm going to put a pineapple filling between the 2 layers. I did some research online and all the other recipes here on YouTube called for canned pineapple. But in my experience, fresh or frozen pineapple is always more flavorful, so that's what I'm going to use. I'll release a more detailed video recipe for the filling at some point in the future, but just so you have it as part of this cake recipe, you will need 12 ounces of fresh or frozen pineapple, 340 grams. What I did is I bought a fresh pineapple, cut it up, and froze it, but you could definitely just buy a bag of frozen pineapple. Half a cup, or as I measure, 105 grams of white sugar, and a quarter cup of water. Later on in the recipe, you will need to make a cornstarch slurry of 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 20 grams, and 2 tablespoons of water. To make the filling, the first step is putting the pineapple in a pot along with the quarter cup of water and the half a cup of white sugar. There's no need to thaw the frozen pineapple before you put it into the pot. Just go ahead and put it in along with the sugar and the water. Turn on the heat to medium or medium high and start cooking it, using your spoon to break it apart and mash it as it thaws. If you start with frozen pineapple, it'll take about 10 minutes on medium or medium high heat for it to thaw completely and break apart and start boiling. When it comes to a boil, turn down the heat to medium and continue stirring and mashing and cooking on medium heat for another 10 minutes. After a total of 20 minutes of cooking, about 10 minutes to thaw and bring to a boil, and another 10 minutes of cooking on medium heat while boiling, your pineapple should look like this. To make the slurry, simply add the 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to the 2 tablespoons of water off to the side, stir, and then add to the cooked pineapple. The cornstarch does need a little bit of heat to activate it, so I would keep the heat on. But once you add the slurry and mix, your pineapple filling should thicken up in maybe 30 to 45 seconds. Once the filling has cooled down a bit, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, it's time to start assembling the pineapple coconut cake. Honestly, I think that adding the pineapple filling while it's still a little bit warm is a good idea, because then some of this is going to sink down into the bottom layer and probably soak into the top layer a little bit. So I wouldn't wait too long to start putting the cake together. One thing that I did want to point out about the filling is that when you spread it on the bottom layer, don't spread it all the way to the edge. If you do spread it all the way to the edge, then when you put on the top layer, it's probably going to get pushed out a little bit and it's going to mix with the frosting. So I would leave probably about a quarter of an inch, maybe more, maybe less, around the edge of the bottom layer of the cake. You can probably see the cream cheese frosting in the upper left hand corner. I'm going to put that on the outside of the cake. I used my no butter cream cheese frosting recipe that I always use for my cakes. I have a recipe here on my channel, so be sure to check it out. Even though I'm not putting any frosting between the layers, I didn't make any less of the frosting. I still used 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese and 1 pound of powdered sugar. The frosting on the outside is going to be a bit thicker than normal, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Since there's no frosting in the middle of the cake, I technically need less frosting, but honestly, I don't think it's worth trying to adjust the recipe down. Like I said, more cream cheese frosting is not a bad thing. I am going to put some toasted coconut around the outside of the cake. I'm sure you can see it off to the side. If you've never toasted coconut before, it's really easy. All I did is I took an ungreased baking sheet and put half a cup of shredded coconut on the sheet, and I spread it out and I baked it at 350 Fahrenheit for 3 minutes. I took it out and stirred, 3 minutes, stirred, another minute, stirred, and another minute, stirred, for a total of 8 minutes. I don't think that you absolutely have to toast the coconut, but I wanted to do something different, and I think that the color contrast is going to look really nice. I just finished putting the cream cheese frosting on my pineapple coconut cake made with cake mix. I have to admit, I think it looks pretty good. Nice and smooth, especially considering the time that I'm doing this at. Here is my half a cup of toasted coconut, and I'm going to put it around the edge. Most people, when they put something around the edge of a cake, they hold it up and pat it around the side. I am not that brave, so I am just going to go like this, because I do not want this to fall, because if this falls and it is destroyed, I am probably going to cry. My cake has been chilling in the refrigerator for about 8 hours now. I could definitely eat it like this, but I'm going to decorate the top. Here I took some pineapple, maybe 2/3 of a cup, a couple slices of fresh pineapple, and I literally just put it on a baking sheet with some foil, no butter, no sugar, and I cooked it at 350 for half an hour, flipping halfway through. I then put the cake back into the refrigerator for about an hour or two, and then I could not wait any longer. Honestly, I thought that this cake looked absolutely incredible. It was one of the most beautiful and most impressive looking cakes that I had ever made. So I couldn't wait to try it. Honestly, my pineapple coconut cake with cake mix recipe was absolutely outstanding. This was one of the most delicious cakes that I have had in a very long time, and there are several reasons why. First off, the cake itself. It was delicious, it was moist, the combination of coconut, crushed pineapple, the coconut extract, and the orange gelatin just added so much flavor, it was incredible. The sour cream was an important ingredient as well because it helped to create an acidic environment so that the leavening agent could make this cake as light as possible. Although the cake itself was definitely delicious, what I think really put this pineapple coconut cake over the top was the pineapple filling. As I said earlier in the video, most southern pineapple filling recipes call for canned pineapple, which is definitely not as flavorful as fresh or frozen. However, since I used fresh pineapple, my filling was absolutely incredible. Although I think that you could definitely just put cream cheese on the outside and in between the cake layers, going that extra step and putting forth a little bit of extra effort to make pineapple filling with fresh or frozen pineapple is what's really going to take this cake to the next level. I was honestly surprised by just how much I like the filling, so I think that going forward in a lot of my fruit cakes, I'm going to add some filling in the middle. In addition to the pineapple filling inside of the cake, the extra pineapple that I put on top of the cake is another reason why this was so good. It added even more of that fresh pineapple flavor that really made this cake awesome. And aesthetically, the extra pineapple on top added a nice bright color that made this cake really eye-catching. The toasted coconut around the sides of the cake is another reason why this cake was so eye-catching. Because I think that the color contrast between the brown toasted coconut, the white cream cheese frosting, and the golden yellow pineapple was awesome. Combined with the bright shade of orange of the cake layers, this cake was just as beautiful as it was delicious. As with many of my other recipes, I came up with this recipe on my own after doing a lot of research, and this was actually the first time that I had ever made or tried a pineapple coconut cake in my entire life. That being said, I think this recipe turned out absolutely perfectly. I don't think I would change a thing. The only change that you might want to make is that instead of doing cream cheese frosting and bits of pineapple on top of the cake, maybe extra pineapple filling. Although I do think that filling on top of the cake would add even more flavor, I think that it would take away from the aesthetics of the cake because the filling is not as bright as the fresh pineapple, so you would lose that. But like I've said over and over, my pineapple coconut cake with cake mix and cream cheese frosting recipe was an absolute success. Because of the combination of delicious flavors and bright colors, I think that this cake would be absolutely perfect for Easter. And even though it is homemade and it's easy to make, It does have a certain elegance that a lot of other cakes don't have. So, like I said, if you're looking for something for a holiday, especially Easter or maybe Mother's Day, this is the cake. So if you like pineapple and you like coconut and you're looking for a cake that has a perfect balance between the two, give this recipe a try. I know you'll love it. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.